Hey everybody, this is Josh. So we actually got Kevin Feige to do us a solid and actually re-release Avengers Endgame after we had recorded this episode to help us with our algorithmic search. I'd just like to thank you, Kevin, for pulling through for us. We definitely appreciate it. Hopefully those of you out there who are interested in listening to this enjoy it. We did end up splitting this into 2 episodes. This is part 1. Part 2 will come out soon, so keep an eye out for that. So without further ado, here is our episode on the film Avengers Endgame.
You're listening to the Moist Boys Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Moist Boys Podcast. The Moist Boys Podcast, always at the cutting edge of popular culture. So today we'll be discussing a little film called Avengers Endgame.
Because it ends the game.
It ends the game.
It's over.
My name is Josh.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Jonathan, and I just lost the game. Thank you for that.
And I'm your best bro, Heather.
So yeah, we've all finally seen the Avengers Endgame. This is coming out a little bit after we've seen it. We had to get through Jurassic Park month, and by get through I mean we loved every minute of it.
It was so great.
It was great.
So great.
It was fun.
My favorite movie is definitely Fallen Kingdom. I definitely did not have terrible things to say about that movie.
Absolutely not. Avengers Endgame. If you haven't seen it, then you're probably dead because this is going to make $3 billion. I think everyone knows what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is at this point, who these characters are, but
let's catch everybody up character by character, because every single character shows up in this movie. That'll eat up some time.
Yeah.
Do we want to do a podcast that's 3 hours long? Is that what we were going for?
I'm aiming for 5. At that
Hell
5
yeah.
hour.
We'll be here till the sun comes.
Yeah. This is the you're going on a road trip. Start this now, and by the time you get to
Arizona, it's finally done.
It's finally
From New
done.
York.
Yeah. So I think this movie is the movie that I most said, hey, that person's back, the most out of any movie I've ever seen in my life, because there was a lot of people that I didn't expect to be in this. They just popped out of nowhere, and I was like, hey, they're back.
Yeah. Jumping super far ahead, but the kid from Iron Man 3 comes back.
I had to look that one up, honestly, because I
Really?
had no idea who that was.
I'm so proud of me then, because I definitely saw him in the back, and I was like, nudge, Jonathan. I was like, isn't that the kid from Iron Man 3? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's Harley.
Yeah,
His name was Harley.
I didn't know his name was Harley.
Yeah.
I don't remember that part. But I definitely remembered that it was the kid, because I think I mainly remembered that because everybody was doing the whole, like, what if Peter Parker was that kid from the Iron Man 3? And everybody's like, no.
Nope, he's right there.
He's right there. But
Also, nobody stands with him. He has to stand by himself.
nobody knows who the fuck he is.
exactly, including me. It's like, who's this kid that just showed up out of
Who's
nowhere?
this random fucking extra they just let stand next to all these famous people?
That's how I knew who he was because he was standing by himself, and I was like, the only person who would know who he was Tony, who's spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Oh
Dead.
yeah, full
Who's
spoiler
dead?
alert. Oh my.
Yeah, if we have
spoilers.
if you've not caught this yet, we are gonna lay out some spoilers.
Now, to be fair, he will always be Gray Mitchell in my heart. So
Fuck you.
So Josh is being kicked off this podcast next.
He comes back, and I had to look him up on the line because I didn't know why. I was like, why are they focusing so long on this random person that I don't know who that is?
I'm so proud of me. I am right now that I knew something Josh didn't know in a movie. So excited.
Tilda Swinton came back for a couple of scenes that were pretty cool.
That was kind of like, oh,
That was really
hey.
cool. I enjoyed that a lot.
I didn't think about when they were like, we're gonna go back to New York in this timeline. I was like, oh, okay. And then there was like there was no Stephen Strange. I was like, oh yeah, like we would go back too far. Yeah. Also, what the fuck was she was fighting aliens and nobody knew that was cool.
Yeah, she wasn't just sitting on her ass drinking tea. She was actually...
It's a secret, so let's be honest.
I know, but it was kind of cool. She had seen her up on the rooftop fighting off the alien
flinging her hand
cool.
discs.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, all right, cool. Well, because, like, you don't really get any clues about them until Doctor Strange. And so the fact that, like, since Doctor Strange took over, like, they've been more involved with other people was kind of like, well, where were they before?
As a weird aside, so one of Bennett's favorite movies right now is God damn it. I've also been drinking, so you know Tangent Guys, but one of Bennett's favorite movies right now is Thor Ragnarok, which Doctor Strange appears in at the beginning. Yeah. And one of the things that bugs me about Doctor Strange's appearance in that movie
is his accent?
No, it's the only movie where he wears gloves.
Is it?
He gets those fancy gloves for a little bit.
I feel like I might need to go back, but I don't think he wears gloves at any point in the Doctor Strange standalone.
Not really.
He's not wearing gloves in Infinity War.
No.
So why does it bother you that he's suddenly wearing
I thought
gloves?
he got those gloves during one of those fight scenes, like in that hall of artifacts or whatever. I thought gloves flew on his hands at one point.
I don't remember. I don't know.
That was a cape that came and flew on.
It was the cape, but like I don't know. It just bugs me that like it's just a weird.
Maybe he was doing some fucking dusting and...
He was doing his falconry outside, and then Thor shows up, and he had to take care of some business.
Like, I got my falcon gloves on.
Yeah, he was pretty much just like doing something. Was like, there's a presence. It's fucking Loki. Go get his ass.
I don't know. It just something about it just it feels off.
I want you to know I did not notice gloves.
Well, to be fair, as we recently learned, that people don't know which movies they're in when they film their scenes.
Yes.
Specifically, Gwyneth Paltrow, who argued with Jon Favreau for like a minute straight that she was not in Spider-Man Homecoming. She's like, no, I was not. And he's like, we filmed that scene together.
We remember when that time we filmed that
with Robert Downey Jr.
When
Spider-Man?
When you were doing the press conference thing and you came out and you talked with... That was his Spider-Man?
She was like, there was 3 fucking movies that scene was fucking in from 3 different angles. Goddamn, shut up.
I mean, to be fair, like, I feel like there's so many things that were, like, filmed so close together that it would not be out of place for her to just be like, oh, I was on set for this one thing and this immediately filmed all of our other scenes.
Yeah, because she's just in that one scene, and we see that scene from a different angle in a different movie.
No, it only pops up in that movie.
So Avengers Endgame. Other people that show up out of nowhere. Rene Russo pops in for a couple minutes. That was pretty cool to see Rene Russo, who looks exactly the same for the last 30 years. So that's weird.
Yeah. She's drinking that good water. Natalie
Portman's stunt double shows up for a couple of minutes, and her voice appears.
Rene Russo is Frigga.
Yeah, I was like Thor's mom. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a Frigga. She's a friggin' hottie. It's what I'm saying. Heyo. And then,
which I really like her appearance in this movie because Thor: The Dark World is probably one of the worst MCU movies out there.
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's probably in the bottom 3 for my list.
Yeah, it's not good.
It is the movie where they decided to kill off her character, and so having this little kind of like throwback to that of her just being like, no, I know what's gonna happen. Don't worry, you go do your mission. Everything's gonna be fine. Was kind of like a nice, just like, hey, we acknowledge that movie, but fuck that movie.
Yeah. And then probably the most surprising. They pulled the Hannibal Lecter card out, picked up Robert Redford and brought him onto set.
Yeah,
because he's an old man, and
also the last I'd heard he was done.
Like The Old Man and the Gun was supposed to be his last movie.
Yeah,
but then this one got released, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in that movie." So I was like, I don't know, when you hit that certain age where you just look like you're gonna blow away in the wind, it's just kind of scary to watch.
Is that just a skin bag walking being on the set?
For,
What is it? Oh no,
Poor
it's Robert Redford. Oh, hello, sir.
For a moment, I wondered if they did like some digital trickery to make him appear in there, but he actually was on set. So
some Rogue One-ing going on.
Yeah, but no, he was actually on set. So that ended up being a cool.
I really liked that that whole section.
Put somebody into Rogue One because
I knew that part. Who'd Robert Redford play?
He was
Senator.
no, not
The director.
Was he the
director or something or other?
Thought he was a senator.
No, he's not a senator. He's an agent of Shield, but he's one of the high-ranking members of Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was during the fallback time frame.
It was during the time heist after they
when they're in
2012
Avengers, the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So after they get the time cube, and he's the one trying to get it from Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark. Hashtag time heist.
So yeah.
Going back
to the beginning of the film. I had mentioned this earlier, but watching this movie, I had the feeling that Kevin Feige had walked into the auditorium. He sat down next to me. This is before the movie had started rolling. He sat down next to me. He put his arm around my shoulder. And the lights slowly went down, and he was like, Hey, Josh, you like these Marvel movies, do you? You've seen them all, have you? And I was like, Yes, Mr. Feige. He's like, that's nice. I got a new scene for you, and right in the stomach, he gives me a big old fucking punch to the gut. Goddamn Hawkeye and his goddamn family. Goddamn you, Feige.
So because going into this movie,
it was rough. It was fucking rough.
It's hard to stay off the internet.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. No, disclaimer to you. John's going to try to convince you that it was hard to stay away from spoilers. I managed it. I had nothing spoiled for me.
Yeah,
before going into this movie.
That being said, like I also try to like manage social media for like my band and stuff.
Yeah, that does not explain why you were on Twitter.
Because
Twitter is social media?
Twitter is social media.
Yeah, it is, but it doesn't. It doesn't
explain why you were looking at hashtag Endgame all day.
Yeah. Oh, that was my bad. Yeah, you're right. So going into this movie, I had what ended up being like 90% of the like huge takeaways spoiled for me. So there are probably way less times where I like literally started crying than there should have been.
Yeah,
two times in this movie. There were 2 times that got me. There should have been more than that.
Last 15 minutes.
Yes, that should have been the reaction.
Just so everybody's aware, I'm pretty sure I saw the last 20 minutes of the movie
just through
tears.
Well, 2 things that got me in this movie. One of them was Hawkeye realizing his family was gone.
He did.
And just not realizing, trying to still find his family.
Yeah,
it's like that fucking hit me hard.
He was trying to... He was trying to white fang that, like, where's the boy?
Yeah.
He's out there somewhere. I'll find him.
But like him, like his I'm trying to think of the words right now. Him doing his whistle call, like for them to be like, this is your cue, like fucking come out now.
Yeah.
Him doing that. So like that immediately, and then going into like the Marvel thing from that, I was like, okay, good. Thank you for giving me minutes to compose myself right now. That got me. And then the only other thing that got me was, which we'll get into more later, but Peter and Ned seeing each other in the school again. Holy shit! That for some reason that fucking hit me hard. I was like, oh, I was not ready for that.
It's because it's because we've only had really one movie with them, with Ned and Peter, to develop, and you and I have unfortunately seen Spider-Man Homecoming more times. So many times
because Bennett fucking loves Spider-Man.
Bennett loves Spider-Man. So we've seen Spider-Man Homecoming more times than we can count at this point, and that any person probably should. It's still a great movie.
It's such a good movie.
It's still a great movie. So you don't have time to like love them and see them go through all these stuff, but you know that their level of friendship, like where their level of friendship is before that. Yeah. So watching them reunite, and it
also like ages them, you know what I mean? Because you can see the difference between all these adults that are dealing with it to like
to see
a teenager.
to see a 16-year-old
Yeah.
and a 16-year-old
Dealing with it,
who's
it's a little bit more
almost
real.
thankful that his 16-year-old best friend is still 16.
So this is something that I was gonna try to like maybe hold off on until we got there again,
We
but
can.
I'm gonna go off on this now because it's just fresh in my mind. So from this movie we go into Far From Home, where they're all in the same class, they're all the same age, so all of them got dusted. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
the main ones,
That's what
that
I
we're
would
talking about, and
assume,
probably not
yeah.
every person
But,
in
like,
his class, but
Flash,
the main
Ned,
people,
MJ,
and Peter.
and Peter,
And blonde
all
girl.
got- and blonde girl, everybody's favorite blonde girl, all got dusted.
They all got dusted. Because if not, then
They'd be in college.
They'd be in college, yeah. Because then Ned would have been 21
Yeah.
to Peter 16, which he's clearly not.
Also,
And Homecoming, we see Flash is not 21. We see that MJ's not 21.
Or Far From Home.
Far From Home, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Martin Starr was just a teacher, right? So he could still come back,
Yes.
Yeah, he was a
even if he
Yeah.
wasn't dusted.
Yeah, because he'd only be 5 years older and he's still a teacher, so it's fine.
Yeah, and then you also have Ben Mendelsohn in that scene as well, where they see each other again, according to the internet.
Ben
I'm not-
Mendelsohn?
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen? He's in Captain Marvel.
I haven't seen
Oh,
He's a Captain
yeah,
Marvel
I haven't
character.
seen. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, we're not everyone watches all of the Marvel movies as soon as they come out, and some of us don't have any lives, so we're gonna watch all the movies.
All of it. Also because
Also, some of us like to keep up on the popular culture, and so we can keep our
Fuck off, I have
podcast
a
up to date.
3-year-old.
yeah, we also have a 3-year-old, so we just can't go out to the movies all the time.
You know,
But
maybe
also,
if
and,
a
like-
particular family member would come down more often and watch our child so we could go watch these things with them, we could talk to them about it on the
Well, I'll
podcast.
give that person a call.
Zach.
Zachary.
Not me.
Ronald.
Yeah. So that was one of the things where like we were basically assured that we did not need to see Captain Marvel before we went to Endgame. So
This
we were just
is
like-
true.
Which is
100%
as far as
true.
I can tell, fucking true.
Yeah, everybody who's been like, I haven't seen it yet. I have to watch Captain Marvel. I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You
She's
really
gonna fly away.
She's in fucking 10 minutes.
She's no,
A 3-hour movie.
You ready to
3-hour
watch her
movie
Fly away with long hair and come back with short
with
hair?
short hair.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all you need to know.
Ta-da.
Spoiler alert.
And then she goes,
gets a fucking
she's
space
not
haircut.
alone.
Space
Ba-ba-ba-bum.
haircut.
She goes
You
to
think she did it
space great
herself?
clips.
I really want it. I want to see more of that haircut. I like
More
that
of the
haircut.
haircut.
That was a, that
Also,
was a good
like,
haircut.
It was
As
a
a-
power move.
That was a good haircut.
it
As a
went from,
weird,
like,
as a weird
6 to an
aside,
8.
yeah, as like a weird aside, there was this meme that I saw of like salty boys being like, "Oh, she cut her hair. She's not hot anymore. Fuck you."
Yeah, she passed. She went hotter.
She like, yeah, that haircut by itself fucks.
So back to the beginning of the
So
movie.
anyway, the
so
movie.
the next thing that really like stood out for me is and I know I don't think it was right after that, but I Love You 3000.
Oh man, that
was a couple scenes
That came
later.
later.
Yeah.
Because that comes after the surprise 5-year time jump.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the very next thing is that all of the surviving Marvel people get together and then they go and kill Thanos instantaneously.
Yeah.
Thor gets a good line where he says, "Hey, I went for the head."
I went for the
Zing.
Zing,
And then he-
fucking like that.
It's
this
not even a
movie
fucking zing. It's
No,
just like
it's
a-
like this movie is so much like
cold.
Thor needs to go to fucking therapy to get
Yeah.
through some of this shit, and then he
Well, to be
spoiler alert
fair-
does not go to fucking therapy to get through some of this shit.
He goes to a type of therapy.
Beer.
It's called the bar.
Cold Stone Creamery therapy. Ba ba boom.
Brown
So
bottle
yeah,
therapy.
the Captain America and Thor, Iron Man stays back at the camp because he's had it with these people. He's like, fuck you.
Also, he is super emaciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a split second where I was like, oh, did they do that to RDJ? Or it was like, there's like a split second where I didn't know that was
Maybe
like digitally enhanced.
Maybe
but
he
yeah.
lost all that weight. No, dear God.
Like, ugh.
That was one of so I was watching some videos today about like Endgame and stuff and like stuff that changed from the trailers to actually watching the movie, and that was one of the things is like in the trailer you just see Robert Downey Jr. being Robert Downey Jr. But like in those scenes,
In the movie, he is. You can tell.
you can tell he's fucking
he's dying.
gaunt
He's
as
dying.
fuck.
Yeah.
And so like just going into the movie and just being like, oh yeah, man, they ran out of food. That's fucking rough. But then seeing him like once Captain Marvel comes and like takes him back to Earth, and him having to be in a wheelchair with the fucking IV and barely being a living human being,
He's still losing his shit.
it's like holy shit! All it's like that made me like weirdly uncomfortable seeing him like that.
Yeah.
Like, no, Tony Stark, no,
Stop it, Daddy.
Also,
yeah.
Yeah. I got mad at I understand that like he is mad. Like he just went through some shit, but everybody just went through some shit. And his blame on Cap is so unjustified to me.
Well, he's so pissed about Civil War.
I understand you're still pissed about Civil War, but he's the one who pushed him out. Like honestly, he did.
Well, yeah.
And then to be like, you weren't there. You weren't there. And it was like, Tony, fuck off, you didn't call me.
Yeah.
I would have been like, and that's the thing is that had Tony hit the button, had Tony called him, he would have been there for him in a heartbeat. But Tony didn't. He went off and did his Tony thing.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, like you can't just expect them to be like, hey, Tony, you're back from space. Hey, Steve, I am back from space. Everything's cool now.
I know.
Let's continue the movie. So I mean,
But, like,
there needed to be
I understood
something
him
of
being
like,
pissed. I understood him being upset
But,
and
like,
pissed, and I think it's because in that situation people find somebody to point a rage at.
yeah.
And-
That's he was just looking for somebody to blame.
What was it, like 25 days or something like that total? Or 20 something days?
Yeah, it was like a little over 3 weeks.
It wasn't very long since all that shit happened.
Yeah.
So he, what I mean? It's like,
No, it's
hella
21
fresh.
days from the time that Thanos
goes-
snaps him.
yeah, that he goes
But
to
it's
space.
yeah, and so like he has a lot of time to mull over what he's
Yeah.
gonna be pissed about. But
Yeah.
it's
But
a long time between Civil War and
there.
Endgame, yeah.
But they never made up before then.
They did.
No.
They
And
did
then
a
he
little
just
bit
went
at
for
the end of
space
Civil War.
at
I finally watched
point.
Civil War. Shut up! I've actually watched the damn movie now, and they do slightly make up in the end. It's not like they're
Kind of.
best. They're
Steve
not
just
best
sends him a
bros
letter
anymore.
and just is just like, hey, let me know.
I'm still Captain America.
I'm still Captain America. But yeah, like one of the most like surprisingly like tense moments is when he's like kind of like confronting Steve, and I don't remember exactly all what leads up to it, but he just like looks at him and is just like, liar. It's like, whoa,
Well,
this is fucking dork.
Well, that's when they're like, everyone's like, oh, we got a plan. We're going to do our Avengers thing. We're going to keep doing. He's like,
Yeah.
no, fuck you guys. Yeah, we're always going to be we're always going to wait for everyone to die, and then we're going to actually do something because that's how our.
I'm sorry,
that's what we
because
do.
we're the Revengers. We're not the Avengers. I'm putting a team together. It's called
I think
the Revenger.
Me and you.
You.
No Hulk. It's me,
Me and you. Just
one,
do that.
the one thing I think that I'm really glad this movie does is actually fixes the timeline a little bit, because like so many of the other movies had like jumbled up which year each thing had happened in
A little bit.
and this
yeah.
movie was like, no, the year that came out, that's the year that it happened for the most part. Like some of the stuff like happens simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like Thor 2 and I think Iron Man 3 are at the same time or something like that. But like
Roundabout, yeah.
there's like a lot of stuff where like, no, like the Avengers is not 8 years after or 8 years before Civil War, which is 2 years after Spider-Man Homecoming, so that
No.
math doesn't work out. They're like, no, this
Avengers
is when it
came out.
happens.
Avengers was 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because like Homecoming kind of fucks that whole thing, because we know Avengers takes place in 2012, and then after that,
8 years later
8
is
years
Civil
later
War.
is Civil War and Homecoming.
6 months later is Homecoming, and then 5 years later is 2023.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Fucking, how do you number again?
So this kind of like this, I think, does a very smart thing of we're going to time travel to the movies. We're putting the fucking date on it so that this timeline shit doesn't fall apart again.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kill Thanos, and then we enter, which I think was probably the strongest part of the movie as a movie, and not as the culmination of the Marvel universe, where you get to watch everyone going through the day-to-day of dealing with what goes on after the snap. And that's why you go and you hire, who are the best actors we can find. We got Robert Downey Jr., we got Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans. You can bring in not so much Mark Ruffalo. I think he has probably the easiest time dealing with the snap stuff.
Yeah,
Which
he just gets to be a happy-go-lucky giant green dude.
Yeah.
That's a very much grief tactic though of being.
Oh
like,
yeah, 100%.
Oh no, him being like, I can't deal with the fact that I have two personalities. I need to just merge this, and I need to science my way out of my life right now.
Yeah.
He 100% just looks and goes, I can't deal with any of this, so we're gonna just deal with this.
I think if Hulk could block that shit out, like Hulk was able to like he just looked past the sadness and like the depression and went straight to anger, right? Like so, like
he's
and
just
then he just scienced that away.
Hulk.
I wish he had spent some of that time learning how to dab, because that is like one of the worst dabs of all time.
To be fair though,
He's so
to be fair though, his arms are the size of me, so trying to just like bend me to dab properly, I get it, but at the same time, fucking dab. Fucking do it.
Get that arm out there. You can't.
Just
keep
so you know, our arms waving. This is great video content.
Hell yeah. We're dabbing all over the place.
Jesus Christ.
But lazy dabbing is like one of those things where it's like, it's so easy. Dabbing is the easiest thing in the world. But people still, they do like, ooh.
We gotta
pick up your elbows just a little bit.
Do the elbows. Keep your hands flat. That's a dab, right? No matter what you do with them. So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
But that's
also,
just like a little...
Anybody who like talks shit about Scarlett Johansson, y'all can fuck off.
No, this is...
I second that.
Well, like even in a radio drama, she would people don't give her the credit, I think. I think it's a lot of the people.
If you don't think Scarlett Johansson can act, go fucking watch The Jungle Book and just fast forward to just her cop parts.
I mean, that's voice acting, it's a different beast. It's still acting.
She
for
can,
sure. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say she
like,
can act in a fucking paper bag. Is what I'm trying to say. Is people are like, she's just in this because she's hot.
Right, and like that's the thing is just like, oh, she has no range of emotion, blah blah blah. It's like, go fucking watch this movie and tell me she has no range of emotion.
I mean, to be fair, like the first probably 2 or 3 movies she was in were not great. Like Iron Man 2 is really, that's probably close to the bottom. That's Thor: The Dark World territory in bad movies.
Whoa. That's a good movie.
It has its moments, but yeah, it's definitely
it's Scarlett Johansson in like half of it.
The other parts is that I've watched Scarlett Johansson in a lot of other movies, not just the MCU, and I see her act better in some of those movies than she did in the beginning of the MCU, and I feel like it's because her character was still pretty stunted in the beginning. Yeah, they didn't give her a lot to work with.
Yeah, that is, I would say that is more the issue than
because you go watch her in like Don John, you go watch her in a bunch of other even kind of crappy movie. Don John's a great movie. Don't get me wrong.
If you fucking love some Scarlett Johansson, go watch Don John because you guys.
Yeah, she looks great in that. But isn't she on the fucking island?
Yeah, the island,
which is a terrible movie. I'm not gonna be shy about the fact that The Island is not a great movie, and she's still good in it because she's with Ewan McGregor. And
if you really like
the movie The Island, that is a good movie.
If you're a big Scarlett Johansson fan, then I would recommend watching Under the Skin. Ooh. It's a really weird movie, but she's in that movie.
Naked,
just straight up naked.
I'm not gonna say no.
Fucking dream sequence, but yeah.
I mean, the whole fucking movie's a dream sequence, so who knows what the fuck's going on.
But if you want to see Scarlett Johansson tease your cock like there's no tomorrow, go watch Don John.
But yeah, like, Jesus. But yeah, trying to not just be like a shitty dude about it. Like, she can fucking act.
Yes, she can.
Get over yourselves.
I mean, pretty much everybody in this, I feel like, can act.
They all hold their own chops. Like nobody's being carried by everybody else.
The hardest one to tell is Chadwick Boseman, but just because I think Black Panther T'Challa is such a fucking iron rod in the middle of every movie he's in. Like it's hard to tell. Like is he?
He's the coolest dude in the fucking room until he's in Wakanda. Like it's
until he has to do anything, and then he's like, I don't know how this suit works. I'm dropping my gauntlet everywhere. Anyway,
God damn it.
Why is your Black Panther Mario out?
It's me, a Black Panther.
Black Panther, I'm so happy.
I got the vibranium.
Let's see. So yeah, we get to see like the aftermath of the snap and how everyone is.
Can we just talk about how there's only like
dealing with
5 people in the Captain America therapy group? When if you knew Captain America was running a therapy group,
lots of people.
There should have been a few more people in that group. I think.
Like
but I feel like this is like
talking to.
But I feel like he's been traveling from kind of the clues he gives. Like he does a traveling therapy group.
This seems like a really sad dude one though. Like these are like the saddest sad dads that you've ever seen.
Yeah, they were like the bottom.
I love the fact
cried at the appetizers, and I cried just before dessert. Ooh. Like, oh,
I love that the Russos insert themselves in little small parts into the movies. He was one of, I don't remember which one it is, but one of them is that guy.
He's also he's the same guy that's in Civil War as the corpse.
The dead guy. Yeah.
Which he was supposed to have. I think he was supposed to have like a scene, but they were like, it doesn't matter. He'll just be a corpse.
Yeah,
it's fine.
But I love that they just do that little bit where it's just like, hey, Joel and or Anthony, be a dead guy and or be this sad gay guy.
I just like that they put because we get these movies focus so hard on the Avengers. I mean, there's 15 billion people who are in this movie that we have to pull in from other movies.
Yeah.
But the fact that they took time to just even have a little bit of time to focus on real people who were affected by this and their stories.
Yeah. Well, that guy and the kid that a rat accidentally brings Ant-Man back into the movie, and then Ken Jeong lets him out of the little storage shed that he's locked away in.
Way to have 30 seconds of Ken Jeong in this movie.
Yeah, that little kid riding by on the bike.
And him being like, what the hell happened here? And the kid looking at him like,
fuck you, dude. Get the fuck out of my way.
This Lord of the Flies shit right now.
I don't really feel like it's get the fuck out of my way. It's almost like a... Why the fuck would you ask me this question?
Yeah.
What a terrible... You have to be the worst fucking person around right now.
There was like tears in the little kid's eyes.
Yeah,
like, ask me what happened to my parents.
That kid has seen some shit.
Yeah. Like his whole family just gone, and he's riding his bike alone.
It's been 5 years. That kid's still traumatized.
Yeah. Which I have like a really hard time with the 5-year time jump, because part of me is just like,
wouldn't that be cleaned up?
part of me is like, oh, like, so it was really jarring going into that 5-year jump and then just realizing like
Scarlett Johansson's hair grows really slow.
No,
she probably gets it cut every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, like, but the hair length.
She was like, I'm gonna dye it one more time and then I'll let it grow out.
Not everybody's hair grows as fast as...
Also, my hair grows really slow. Yeah. My hair would probably grow that much in 5 years.
100%, yeah. But just like seeing...
Just because you have man hair over there.
Hell yeah, I do.
Men's hair grows so much faster.
It's like, I need a haircut once a month minimum.
Yeah, my hair, I've been growing my hair for years. Like years and years. And every now and then I have to cut it really short. It sucks. But it doesn't ever get
Avengers Endgame!
So you know who else who had long hair? It was Scarlett Johansson in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, she did. I'm just saying, it's very possible that's how much her hair grew. I really dug it, though. I really dug
her hair was not
the red to the white. Yeah, the like.
I ain't complaining.
The ombre she had going on.
So the thing that I was really interesting to see and was kind of just like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, was just like full civilization collapse. Like in 5 years, they didn't rebuild.
Nothing.
They just, everybody clearly just wallowed and just sat in it and was just like, what the fuck just happened? I don't know. I don't know where to go from here.
I don't know what to fucking do.
I don't know what to do.
I'm taking Bob's Prius down the road, though. That shit ain't going to waste. I'm driving it.
Yeah, and but you just lost half your workforce. You just lost half the CEOs to these companies. You just lost half of these people. So where do you pick
half of your pilots, possibly in the air? You just lost half of your surgeons in surgery, half of your medical staff.
Yeah, where do you go? Like, do you either clump, or you kind of have to do little
Well, I think it just like Captain America said. Just look at the bright side. Half the people on the plane didn't crash because they also turned into dust.
Yeah.
So you just move
so
on.
it's and it might have ended up killing more than half, because when he snapped, how many pilots did he kill in midair?
Right. At least we see at least one helicopter crash.
Yeah. And so it's one of those. And how many people did that helicopter take out when it crashed?
That could all be calculated in. I mean, he was like that thing just does.
That's what everybody keeps saying to me too. They're like, we can calculate that in, and I was like, I don't think he did the math
on that.
I don't think he does. There's another time.
That's collateral damage. He doesn't give a shit about collateral damage.
Because when we have the flashback to Gamora's planet being, because we watched all the Avengers again. But
Bennett likes the MCU right now.
He likes
we're
the
just
MCU.
Gonna lean into it.
We're watching Guardians. Anyways, and we flashed to Gamora's planet being destroyed. I was very much just like, they're killing a lot of people before they separate them in half. And Jonathan's like, they count that in. I'm like, I don't think they count that in.
No, that time I feel like they counted that in.
I don't think that Thanos was like, there is exactly 3 billion people on this planet. I need to kill 1.5, so I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, I don't think that they count that in. I think they were very much just like, we've killed some people.
Yeah, you can guestimate it.
Estimate that's about like 50, I guess.
Said, I wiped out that whole damn planet and it had 300,000 people on it. That was 300,000.
Yeah.
Okay, the universe has 300,000 less. I guess I can leave that planet.
So now
as long as you wiped out the whole thing, it's easy to calculate.
So now the question, because he tells Gamora that like that planet is now flourishing and is everything is fine and everything like that. So now after with the snap, does he wipe out another half of that planet?
Is that planet already done?
He said he's gonna get rid of half of the population of the universe. So
yeah, right.
That is
that's
weird
everybody.
That's a good question.
Oh yeah. Probably because he wasn't probably very specific of like, I need to wipe out half of the population in the universe except for these planets that I've already done to. Like he probably
but it's all his head that's doing it. It's not like he has to say it out loud when he snaps.
Yeah, but do you think he's thinking that as he's like got an axe in his chest and people trying to kill him? No, he's just like, fucking do this thing that I've been thinking about. Okay, go.
Well, I don't think you have to think about it. It's all in his head. Like
to be fair though, that's Infinity War.
Yeah.
So in the current timeline, he's already been killed.
Yeah.
Ant-Man finds out that he was supposedly dusted away, except no, because he was in the quantum realm. Something. Also, quantum realm.
I really like that they take a minute for Steve to tell Scarlet that I saw whales in the Hudson. Like the planet is recovering.
Getting better.
The planet is recovering. You know, like it is doing better.
Hey, maybe like, people aren't so great.
So it.
It's like it's a salt in some wind.
It dips its toes into it, but like I'm glad the movie doesn't 100% just go like a lot of movies right now are just going like balls deep into like worst. Yeah, human beings were the disease the whole time.
Yeah, but it very much is like, this is what's happening. And her being like, okay, cool, but our friends are still dead.
Yeah.
Like, don't even try to tell me that this is okay. Like
there is a little bit, just try to find a silver lining.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ant-Man eventually shows up at the Avengers compound, which is kind of pretty run down at this point. I don't think
she
hasn't been doing a lot of
renovations.
Maintenance
just
on
Natasha.
That. On that.
It's because it's just fucking Natasha.
This is after though, so I'm sorry, I keep getting off topic, so we keep tangenting a little bit, but so this is after the scene where he is like frantically searching for Cassie's name, but finds his name instead. I was just like, no.
Please don't fucking kill another kid. Please.
Seriously. I was like, I'm not fucking ready for that.
Yeah.
But then like him going to his house and like finding
seeing her 5 years older, I was like, oh, this is not okay.
That almost got me. I'm not gonna lie.
It got me.
Yeah.
It got me.
And that's why you hire Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
America's sweetheart.
Because he's not. I love that he's not devastated because his daughter's alive. Like it'll hit him.
Yeah, that's all that matters is that he gets to see her.
That he gets to see her because like it'll hit him later that like I've missed 5 years of her life and my daughter was a little girl and now she's a teenager. Like I missed vital years, but the fact that
he's like, boom, gotta fix it.
She's just alive. Like the fact that she's just alive is what makes him.
And we don't know what happened to one of my favorite names to say in the entire world, Bobby Cannavale. and Judy Greer.
Yeah.
Like, we don't
I was
see
like,
them
where's
at all
my
in this.
Judy goddamn Greer?
Yeah, we don't.
Where's
we don't,
Kitty the whore, damn it?
We don't know what happened to her mom and her stepdad. Like,
Assuming they're
where
still
is
alive because she's just living in their house.
in their house, but maybe she's just living
She
in
could
their
just be
house.
squatting.
Like,
I mean,
literally, where
who's gonna come
you
take
don't
it
have,
back?
you
Yeah.
have half your police force, you have half your child protective services. Like,
Yeah, the
who's
banks are
gonna
gonna take your
the
house.
banks? Yeah, like,
But she
who's-
was like 11 at the time, so I feel like something would have.
who's gonna come collect her? Her
Yeah.
mom's gone, her stepdad's gone, her dad's gone. Who's gonna fucking collect her?
These and other important questions
Yeah.
on
Like,
Moist Boys
maybe
Podcast.
maybe she has, like, and the fact that she doesn't go with him, he like leaves her there,
Yeah.
makes me feel like, yes, they were
Somebody's
alive.
still there. They
Somebody's
just-
still there and alive.
They didn't
but
have Bobby Cannavale money for this movie, so.
They probably had Judy Greer on money, like.
Oh, don't
no.
diminish Kitty the whore like
What
that.
has she been doing lately?
Jurassic World?
Don't fucking
So
don't.
they had Judy Greer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ant-Man tells them that they can go back in time to get the old time heist going.
Time heist.
And
Like the whole like fourth dimension thing where they're like, well, what are we gonna call it? Can't call it time travel.
Time heist.
Time heist.
Because that's all he knows how to do is steal
So
shit.
he just knows how to heist.
yeah.
Knows how-
So then we get to see the brand new 2023 Audi A6. It's a pretty fancy vehicle they got there. Captain America driving pretty fancy
Hey, so
snazzy
fancy.
car.
Fancy.
So good to know Audi didn't go under because of the snap.
Hell yeah! Of course, Thanos is gonna leave Germany intact. Of course.
As he snapped, he was like, Germany, I forgive you.
I'm bringing Hitler back. Oh no!
Jesus Christ.
He's a bad guy. It's
And this-
probably-
That's fair. He's
And
a bad
this
dude.
is where we finally catch up with healthy Tony Stark back to his
Yeah.
full
Back to
fighting
his
weight again.
Not making me fucking uncomfortable in my seat, Tony.
Yeah. We also find out that he has a daughter and that he built Pepper Potts.
Can we talk
a
about what
goddamn
his daughter's
suit?
name is, by the way? Because we've been rewatching things. When Tony originally says,
In
I had a
Infinity War.
dream in Infinity War. I had a dream that we were a kid, and it was so real that I thought, and Pepper goes, that we're pregnant, and everybody's like, so Pepper was pregnant. And he goes, and we named him. He says we named him
Yeah, after her crazy uncle,
after your
right?
eccentric uncle.
Eccentric uncle.
And she goes, oh, Morgan, and they really did name their child Morgan
Yeah.
after her crazy eccentric.
We do get the foreshadowing for the Gwyneth Paltrow Iron Man suit in this scene.
Did we?
Yeah, because he's like,
Yeah.
I built
Mommy never wears the things
Yeah.
I buy her. Mommy never
because like
wears the
that
things I
mask
built her.
that she is or that helmet she's wearing. So here's a question I have.
that's her helmet.
Yeah.
That's her helmet, and it's
Okay.
Mommy never wears the things I built her.
So
That makes way more sense. Like me just being like, oh, this is Tony Stark. He's talking about lingerie, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Weird thing to say to
Nope.
your kid, Tony.
he's talking about the thing that she's holding.
Literally, because he goes, "That's Mommy's," because she's wearing a helmet, and he goes, "Where
Yeah.
did you get that? That's Mommy's. I found it in a garage." Well, it'll be our
I'm
little
dumb
secret.
as shit, so that's fine.
It'll be
I'll take
our
the
little
loss on that one.
secret. Mommy never wears the things I buy her, anyways.
Yep.
What was I
I'm
gonna say?
dumb as hell.
Oh, my question is: so we see multiple times these helmets just sitting around, but we also see the fact that they are nanobots that just spring out of nowhere.
Yep.
So, like, which is in?
Which is
Both.
Yeah.
Her, I'm
I
gonna
feel like-
say her. Wait, nope. I'm gonna retract that because I know for a fact her helmet kind of
I'm gonna
nanotechs
go
away
with
later in
he
the movie.
builds what he wants it to look like, and then he because like he has to design it right, but he has to make sure that that's a practical
But
design.
even his
he
helmet,
didn't bring the prototype of his suit to space though.
because his nano
Yeah,
suit
the
is what he
prototype
brings up
different.
to space, but he just has it. Like, how does he get it? Does he like?
because his suit's getting destroyed by Thanos. Remember, he literally has to pull
Well,
parts
yeah, like
of it,
we see
and
him
so
like,
he like
shift parts of it
shifted
into other things.
So he just shifted them into a helmet.
and then you can just take off the helmet, and then it's whatever.
Anyway, it just seems weird that
because he didn't need a gun at that point, because he didn't need an arm at that point. He needed a helmet that could record him. That's what he wanted. So he shifted the nanobots to be just a helmet,
which is simultaneously an airtight seal that he can also just pop right off.
Just make a video camera instead of the helmet.
Because Ryan, we needed it to be an Iron Man helmet, so we knew what he was using.
That can make anything.
That just plays in, like, I'm not a big fan of like suits that can just be whatever you want. I think it's kind of dumb.
It's because the movie said, okay.
It's just like,
dude, does he say that his nanotechs can be whatever he wants?
It is when they do the time heist.
Say. But it definitely does.
It definitely does whatever he wants.
By the time they're in the time heist, everyone's got nano suits that do whatever they need it to do.
That come and go as the movie wants.
Yeah. All of a sudden doesn't have a suit on.
So like that's the point. I'm like, you're just getting rid of so much like.
Yeah, but when they pop back on, they just pop in the same exact way. Like it doesn't change for a necessary need. They just.
I think it would have been.
I think this is programming.
I mean, it saves time. You don't have to be like, how does Captain America get his uniform? It's a nano suit. But on the other hand, it's like, how are they going to get out of this situation? It's a nano suit.
Like it would have been really interesting to like have them talking about the plan, not knowing what the plan is, but then having them all put on like period correct clothing.
Yeah, actually have to plan out where they're going and what they're going to do instead of like, we got magic buttons that do whatever we need them to.
I got this super dope wrist strong bracelet that'll help us time travel.
Because
it's really tight.
I feel like I would rather see them planning out this time heist and going through these steps rather than just spinning your wheels talking about Thanos or looking at Thanos all the time. But we'll get to there. So yeah, everyone. We kind of go through getting the band back together.
Yeah. That was like the good part when it was getting to like everybody showing up, and they're
just
really
the originals. Like you know what I mean? It's Tony, it's Cap, it's Black Widow, it's Hawkeye. Yeah. Like the only really there's not too many new ones, but I'm glad
there's a couple. There's
Nebula, there's Rocket, there's Rhodey,
But we brought back our original team. Like
Rhodey was original. He was one of the
Tony.
We got our Fat Thor.
Fucking Fat Thor.
Oh my gosh! So I read that the Russos wanted Thor to magically lose the weight, like when the hammer and it braids his hair or something, like they wanted him to magically lose the weight, and Chris Hemsworth's looking at him and said, no, why wouldn't you have Thor still be fat? Like he should be fat the whole time. And everybody's like, oh, Chris Hemsworth being so body positive, and I was like, no,
that just makes sense.
It just makes sense. Motherfucker. I was saying, like, Chris Hemsworth is never. I mean, he's body positive about how his body is positive.
I'm positive that I want that body upon me.
Yeah, like it was. So everybody's like, "Oh, it's body positivity," and I was like, "Nah, man, it just is what makes the most sense.
It just makes good sense.
You can't have Thor magically lose weight because his hammer said so.
Because of his hammer.
He's a god."
I still don't think it can.
Whatever.
I think it would have been cool if he, like, with the magic armor, like, shows up. Maybe, like, he didn't lose the weight, but, like, boom, clean shaven or something.
No, like, the braiding of the beard was so good.
So good. Fat War Thor.
Fat War Thor was like, so great.
I'm here for it.
I'm sorry.
Thor
also, Fat Thor can still get it.
Oh, yeah. Fat Thor can still get it any day.
Get it.
I do like the part where Tony Stark calls him Lebowski because he's wearing the Lebowski costume.
It was so good.
I have seen people online complaining that Fat Thor is obnoxious because he's just a big joke the whole time, but I'm okay with it.
I don't think he is. Like, they throw some jokes his way, but they throw some jokes at everybody's way, and each one of them is very much in a different way of grieving, and like Thor's way is really
packing them Oreos.
Denial is what his is.
It's denial, and it's like a deep denial, and
to put it like as base level as possible, just like somebody who clearly ate and drank their feelings.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's a really good thing. Cause you know, there's Clint and his fucking shit.
Murder rampage.
His murder rampage.
Of bad people.
They're bad people. They are bad people, but it's definitely him being like, how come all these bad people fucking lived when my family when my innocent children didn't, so I'm gonna go fucking kill these assholes. You know, there's Natasha's Natasha was slightly in denial. Yes, she understood that half the people were gone. Yes, she understood that they needed to move more forward, but she was going to continue to focus on how do we fucking fix this? Yeah. Whether anybody else was or not. She was going to figure out how to fucking fix it.
Well, I think her thing of like trying to fix it also like came down to the fact that she knew Clint was out there still.
And she didn't know how to fix that. Yeah. Which we get into later when they have a fight. And
yeah. I mean, we kind of get into that later when when she goes and finds him. And
but it really doesn't come out until they're fighting over which one of them should die.
But why didn't she just say that and throw him in a cell like 3 years prior and save all this problem?
Because I think that she's still in denial. So here's the thing is that she's in a different type of denial than Thor, where she is everything. This is all going to work out because we're good people. This is all going to work out because that's the way it should be. This is all going to work out. And so she's just like, we just need to keep going where we were already at, and Clint will come back. Yeah. She wasn't in I need to go do the actual work and fix this.
Yeah. So we get to see probably one of the cooler scenes in the movie is when Hawkeye is going through and
Ronan is going through.
Ronan. They call him Hawkeye. They call him Clint.
I'm really disappointed that he becomes Ronan in this movie. They never call him that, or he is never referred to as that.
Yeah, it's probably...
Because then you'd have to explain.
Robert De Niro will always be my Ronan, so I was okay with it.
That's fair. There's not an... If they had set this up in like another movie and then had him carry over and then have like the character be more than just 5 minutes of
I feel like
development,
a fight scene, and then like, oh, it's Clint, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna just call him Hawkeye or Clint because that's who that is.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that modern superhero movies have been better at, is not having to just force these character names into the thing, because like if this had been like from the 90s or whatever, they definitely would have like really hammered it that he's Ronan.
Oh my gosh, that's Ronan. What's Ronan doing now? Where's Ronan's next step?
He's fighting like this because he doesn't have a family anymore. He's like a Ronin.
This is where, so I had almost mentioned this during our Pokemon episode, but this is where we get Hiroyuki Sanada. Who was like, what movies has he been in recently? Oh yeah, I won't say anything yet.
I'm gonna shut my damn mouth.
Yet.
So that was the thing when he showed up in the movie, I was like, oh, that guy from the Wolverine, not the other guy I was thinking of.
I am a little disappointed that he, unless the Hawkeye TV show is a prequel, he's not probably coming back. But maybe he's survived because he's supposed to be dead, but he was moving around when you do the wide shot on Hawkeye and Black Widow there. In that scene. So at this point we have everyone back together. We get a nice little Thor monologue where he tries to explain what the ether is, but he kind of loses the plot a couple of times.
Oh my god, it's so good.
He pulls a Jonathan, goes off on some tangents in the middle of his
tangents.
Me and Fat Thor are soul brothers.
But then they finally realize that coincidentally most of the Infinity Stones were actually on Earth all at the same time.
Yeah, there was 3 stones in New York at the exact same time if you pick the right year.
So you get some fun business. They build a time machine. Oh, we get to see Paul Rudd's Ant-Man in many different ages.
God.
So good.
He's whipped through times.
Old Ant-Man.
Somebody peed my pants.
I don't know if it was baby me or old me.
Or just me.
Which I like when Tony comes to the compound and is like, did he turn into a baby? Among other things.
He also tries to eat a taco and that goes horribly wrong.
Can we also talk about Tony's entrance of the Like, how many turns are you taking in this goddamn driveway?
Just cut across the grass, dude. Your car can handle it. Yeah. Nobody's gonna give a shit.
Jesus fucking Christ. And it's like, this is going on too long.
No, one of the things that I noticed that did bug me was that when Hulk is holding the tacos, he's holding 2 tacos.
Of course.
But when Ant-Man takes the taco, he only has
hands
one.
One of them. He just
hands him one taco.
He's got 2 tacos in his hand when he hands it down, but then Ant-Man only has one when he takes it away. And I was like, what happened to the other taco?
Maybe he just took one taco.
He just left one in.
He just left one floating in the air. And
it went into the quantum realm.
No, he just hands Hulk hands them down. He just takes one, and Hulk takes the other.
So
anyway,
that was that
War Machine shows up.
So hi, regular man. One of the videos that I watched today was of like all of the emotional moments from the entire MCU over a total. And at the end of the video, they were like, "Did you cry when Ant-Man dropped his taco? Let us know down in the comments."
He didn't drop his taco. It got bloated away.
Someone blew his taco.
Somebody blew away his taco. It was Nebula.
I will say that this is probably my favorite rocket that they've had in any of these movies so far, because he's an actual character and not just like an internet message board brought to life by Bradley Cooper. Also, Bradley Cooper brought it back to like a 6 for most of the movie, because he's like cranking at 11 in those Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
So, Rocket Raccoon is one of those characters. Like, sometimes when you hear somebody do voice acting and you're just like, oh yeah, 100%, I know who that is voice acting. Rocket Raccoon is one of those things where it's like,
you always forget it's Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
It's like, that does not sound like anything I've seen
that's
him
what
do
Groot
before.
is for me for Vin Diesel. I don't hear Vin Diesel when I hear Groot.
All I hear is the Iron Giant. And so I 100% hear Vin Diesel.
And like, I still, like, Iron Giant doesn't sound like Vin Diesel to me either. Vin Diesel sounds like Vin Diesel. But like Groot, like teenage Groot, does not sound like Vin.
They pitch up his voice.
I know, but it still doesn't sound like him. Yeah. Like, none of the Groot sounds like, I am Groot.
Whoa!
I don't think Groot gets anything to do in that last battle scene. I don't remember
him just like going through and murking bros.
Yeah, they wasn't just screwing anything up. They just had a picture of him sitting there with a fuzzy moss covered head, kind of like an afro, like a.
Did he come back from the snap?
He does. Yeah. They show him come back from the snap.
He's just like standing there. He becomes a literal tree instead of a.
Like, I mean, I feel like they show.
He had his mouth open.
Yeah, they show him in like Rocket fighting people, but I don't feel like they don't.
It gets
so
lost in everything.
Yeah,
there was no like arm through a bunch of people. Nothing like that.
So yeah, we got our remaining Revengers go through to start their time heist. They hit up 2012, and the Avengers they hit up 2013.
14, I thought it was.
Were both of those 2014?
When they go to Morag?
Yeah, but also Thor: The Dark World. I think that's 2013.
That one is 2013. You're right.
So that's where we get our Rene Russo. We get our Chris Pratt cameo, even though he's in the movie. Oh my god, that's
so good.
So fucking great.
Seeing that scene from the movie from the perspective of outside of like not
his
just,
music. You can't hear
just
his
him
music.
Singing to himself and like. So he's an idiot.
So great.
So good.
So great.
We get a brief shot of Natalie Portman stand-in as she enters a room.
Also some recycled footage from The Dark World.
Yeah, where she gets out of bed.
Which you didn't know. I like that you were like, there are scenes where I don't know if they recycled or if they actually filmed her. And I was like, no, that was recycled.
Because I saw The Dark World one time after we mistakenly bought it. And I have not watched it since.
Yeah, like I knew that the actual like from behind where you can't hear the music, that's Chris Pratt like now, but before they were like just splice because splice.
Yeah,
and the Natalie Portman is clearly
like that one,
splice.
And then the scene where the camera circles the Avengers as they're like forming in the middle of the streets of New York. That's a recycled shot.
Which I had forgotten how janky that Captain America costume was in that first movie. I was like, ooh, he looks like that's some Party City shit right there.
It's very costumey. That's what Jonathan was saying. He said he rewatched the first Avengers and he was like, oh, it's
So did you recently, didn't you?
It's very costumey.
I saw some clips. Like I saw the clip where Captain America and Iron Man are doing like their piss off when they on the aircraft carrier, and I was like, oh, they're both just a couple of bitches. That's really weird. Like, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I've watched that movie a couple. Like anytime there's not explosions on the screen, the first Avengers movie is real hard to watch.
That's what. Yeah, you were saying Bennett's real not into it because there's
he was just really not into it. But I was
there's
like,
no Avengering.
I've already turned it on, so yeah, like the Avengering happens in the last half an hour, and if like stuff's not happening in the movie, he's just like, I don't fucking care about this.
Why are these people talking?
The actual movie part's
Hit
not
somebody.
fun.
Yeah. Hit somebody. Why are you talking?
I don't want to watch regular man talk to other regular man. Fucking throw a shield or something. Yeah. I'm 3.
Where's the hammers?
Where's the fucking hammer?
I also forget until I watch clips of Age of Ultron how ugly that movie is. Like the color grading is real bad, and like that's just ugly looking movie.
I didn't like that movie much at all.
That was so. This movie, rewatching the first Avengers movie, like really brought home just how much better the MCU has gotten in the last few years.
Yeah.
And just like, I understand, like I was talking to my friend Josh about this, different Josh, Josue, as the podcast knows him. I was talking to him about it and I was like, I don't like Joss Whedon as a writer / director for this. Like, some of it, his other stuff is fine. I like Serenity.
Serenity's good.
But like, as far as like being
Firefly, I wasn't so much.
No, actually, yeah. Like watching that show was like, oh, this show's garbage, but the movie's good.
There's some stuff happens in that movie.
Yeah,
that pilot episode where you're just watching them kind of float through space. I was like, when's this starting?
Super boring.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah. So like Joss Whedon as like their throw-in architect for what they wanted the MCU to be. It was just like, he's not a good dude for this.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like he knew it, and they eventually knew it after that second movie when it was just like, I also feel like there's a weird sense of Joss Whedon is a dude who just doesn't play ball.
Yeah.
And they need somebody who is willing to just like toe the line of what they want to happen. And he's just like, but I need a girl in a tight dress barefoot for a second. Can we just throw that in there real quick? As much as I love to joke about Joss Whedon's foot fetish, it like legitimately is a thing. Just go watch it.
Between him and Quentin Tarantino, I feel like
yeah. And so it's just one of those things where like
got way more fucked up fantasies than foot fantasies. Let's be
honest. Fair. But this is like, yeah. So like rewatching the Avengers, and like the main things that I like were my takeaways from that was just like, the costuming looks like costuming.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like battle
Super
ready,
weird.
like tactical gear. It just looks like.
Which the ironic thing is, I found out recently that Captain America's costumes now, it's just painted lycra. Like they just like print the patterns onto it now, so he can get in and out of it like in a couple of minutes. Like it's not like. It's not tactical. It's not like Kevlar or anything. It's just like,
it looks like it is still,
yeah.
Though.
So they've like actually just printed it. So like he can get out of that in like 20 minutes instead of like 3 hours to get into it.
Yeah.
I also think though that like is also reminiscent of the time that the Avengers were in, though. If you think about it too, they didn't really know what they were signing up for. They didn't really know what it was going to be. So Captain America's experience before this was being in the fucking SO, like
a little bit, yeah.
I mean?
And like so that's the thing. Like I have like rewatching the Avengers and then just remembering like the only other time I've seen Steve Rogers on screen is in the first Avengers. Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind when you like rewatch the Avengers, because it's like, okay, yeah, he's still in that mindset of like, we gotta take down the Nazis, we gotta take down Hydra. Like, what's my mission? What's my order? Give me something to work with. And then like having the people around him just kind of be like the scene where he's talking with Tony and Banner. Where they're just kind of like, come on, dude, Shield's not on the up and up. Like, get with it. Like, you're going to figure this out real quick.
Yeah.
And then him actually going and realizing, like, oh, they're stockpiling Hydra weapons. What the fuck is actually happening? Which is all just a weird tangent because I'm a tangent dude.
I will say the one nice bit of foreshadowing from the original Avengers is that that Bruce Banner is brought into the Avengers because of the gamma radiation of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a nice little bit of.
He's like, I was built for this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we get to see the Avengers again. We get to see some new angles. We get to see Frank Grillo comes back. Also, the weird-eyed guy from The Dark Knight Rises comes back too.
Oh yeah.
There's a pretty good scene where you think they're just gonna rehash the Winter Soldier.
I thought they were gonna
scene.
do that elevator scene. I was really waiting for him to just be like,
start punching everybody.
Anybody wants to get off now? Now's the time.
Yeah.
And then just start like, yeah. But
Start
then,
hammering. He's just like, "Hey, Elijah."
fuck, that was so good.
He's like that little that smirk that he gives when he's walking off the thing. He's like, "Yep, I'm smarter now than I used to be."
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that hasn't made much sense in the MCU is that Captain America is supposed to be the leader because he's like the tactical guy, but he's always just been the leader because Captain America was the leader in the comic books. So it has never you really only see it in Age of Ultron.
I feel like I see Iron Man as their leader a lot more than Cap.
Yeah.
I honestly
I can
do.
100% say, having just rewatched the original Avengers movie, Fury is 100% like, you were in war one time, lead the team.
I understand that too, but I don't feel like he ever did, and I feel like
Age of Ultron, in the beginning, he's like telling people where to go and how to do stuff. But yeah, that's one of the things where
he's always been the battlefield guy.
Yeah, but this is the first time I'm like, oh, he's actually a smart guy that can. It's a tactician and not just like, I can kind of punch harder than most people, so I'm going to be in charge now.
Just like from a military standpoint, like Captain is not the top.
Yeah,
so just because he's Captain America doesn't mean like little kid me is like, oh, Captain.
Oh, Captain
of the Enterprise. That's the dude who's in charge.
Yeah.
But like, no, Captain is just a rank. But there's people above that who are calling the shots.
Which is why he's really good at tactical, and he's the military. Like on the field, he's the pointy guy. But ultimately, Stark's in charge.
Then we get some nice Chris Evans on Evans action.
That is America's ass.
We get a nice little.
That is America's ass.
He gets I don't want to throw around the term queer baiting all willy nilly, but I think Captain America does that to old young Captain America. There, he's like, Bucky's waiting for you. Cap's like, oh, what? And then he gets knocked out. So I feel like Cap does him dirty a little bit there.
Like, have you been on DeviantArt lately?
Have you heard about this thing called Grindr? Bucky's on there. Oh, Bucky.
What, Bucky?
He's alive.
Oh, Bucky.
Then we get the Hulk fucks up their plan. Hulky.
Fuck stairs.
Loki grabs the time cube and disappears into his own television series. Space cube and disappears into his own television series.
Oh, that's right. He's getting a show too.
Yeah.
Is he getting a show? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was like, everybody's like, Loki is alive. And I was like, no, fucking Loki's dead.
A Loki
and now
is
I'm
alive.
like, oh,
A
A Loki is alive. Yeah, a new Loki
the one
is alive.
with his television series.
The one who hasn't learned the lessons yet.
Yeah.
So one of the things that has come up a couple times in conversations is that the movie focuses so heavily when Bruce is talking to the Ancient One about the timeline, and the timeline being this one golden line that she is focused on, and fixing that and making sure that is intact. Which the movie
immediately fucks up.
Immediately fucks up because Loki immediately splinters off, and then there's a new timeline.
Yeah.
But nobody cares about that timeline.
So unless when Cap goes back and he puts them away from so does he go back and fix the mistake they made? Or does he just go back and put the stone?
Yeah.
Does he go put the stone just back where they got it, or do they go fix the mistake?
I feel like at that point, if he goes back even farther and is like, hey, Tony, Hulk's going to bust through that door, watch out, that's going to create a third timeline.
Yeah.
On top of the original one that they're in, where they was destroyed by Thanos, the new one where Loki has it, and then this third one where they
out themselves.
take it and create a fourth. I guess that would create a fourth timeline, because that would be the timeline where Tony goes back to do the snap again. Except so in all 4 of those timelines, though, Thanos does end up getting the Infinity Gauntlet back and So is this the only timeline now where the Avengers exist after this? Because Doctor Strange said every other time they did anything, they ended up losing.
Yeah.
That's exactly how Tony died. He held one finger. He said there's one shot here. There's a reason he didn't tell him when he asked him what happens.
My brain is I'm shaking my head because my brain is like, I don't like it. I'm done. I don't like it. I don't like it.
That was one of the weird things, was where the Ancient One snaps Bruce Banner out of his Hulk body and he's just Mark Ruffalo again.
Yeah.
So
that was Mark Ruffalo, yeah.
So is that?
It's because he's
because in his soul
he's Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
The Hulk is a part of him, but that's never who he is.
Yeah.
And the Hulk's not his own entity, so it's not like they could push the Hulk out.
Yeah.
The Hulk is a scientific.
But what if they did it opposite? What if he was Bruce Banner and then she pushed it out? Would it then push the
still be
Hulk
Bruce
out?
Banner?
Spectral Hulk starts trying to smash everything.
Spectral Hulk.
How would you get Spectral Hulk?
I don't think you can.
Can you
because that's what I'm saying. I don't think that Hulk is actually a person. It's like split personality disorder.
Like a mutation.
It's like a mutation.
Yeah,
it's like a split personality, and it's not who he is at the core.
Like the Hulk doesn't exist on that level.
No, he can't. He will never be, because he's not his own. Yeah, he's not his own entity. Whereas Banner is his own entity.
Yeah.
The one thing that was, I think, like they hit that uncanny valley for me with the Hulk was that they got Mark Ruffalo's like weird mouth, the way that he has, like, exactly right. And I was just like, this is way too close.
Way too close. Mm-hmm. I don't like that I'm looking at that and I actually am seeing Mark Ruffalo right now.
But also, yeah.
So Rocket and Thor get the ether back after Rocket
randomly stabs her.
Sticks it up Natalie Portman's ass and sucks it out. Thor gets his hammer back, which, like, I think that's probably the happiest he's ever been in any of these movies. Is when hammer comes coming back, and he so they bring that back to the.
So I'm glad that the movie internal consistency within the movie, they understood the fact that he took that through time.
And it had to go back.
It
did just stay with Captain America.
Yeah.
Spoiler. But does that mean that there was like, if there was like, I guess he could have brought it back to the exact moment he
brought it back to the exact moment. Yeah. That was the thing. Because otherwise
there
Thor
was a
doesn't
Thor
have that
somewhere.
Hammer.
There was a Thor somewhere in that timeline for a minute
his
going.
Hammer. Where is my hammer?
Or he was standing there and he plopped it down and he's eating some ramen and he goes, where the fuck is that thing going?
This always works.
Batman and ramen.
I don't know. Thor's an eclectic.
Call forward.
Because you know what? All I could think about suddenly for some reason was Nick Jonas sitting in the Japanese airport.
At the airport in Narita.
Nick Jonas as Thor.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know. So Thor drinking a beer.
There you go.
Suddenly looking at his hammer flying away going, where the fuck is that thing going?
Yeah, right.
He's like, this works every time.
But I am Thor.
As
he just
who's calling?
looks at his hands.
Who's calling my hammer right now?
Odin.
And then around this time is when we have maybe other than Nebula and War Machine kind of having a nice scene together where they kind of are both like,
he's a fucking idiot.
Well, Chris Pratt is, yeah, but like I like how they put War Machine. The other thing that I like about this one in Infinity War is who they decide to put together, and so like I think they put the right characters together, because you have Rocket and Thor are definitely like they're hiding, they're hiding their actual feelings behind these fake exteriors.
Yeah.
You have, I'm not sure why Ant-Man is there with. I mean, he's there to do his thing, but like thematically, I don't know what he does for
Tony and Steve.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess
he gets tiny and can steal shit.
I mean,
end.
They
had to get 3 stones. They needed a dude who knows how to do a heist.
He also got really big and carry people.
Spoilers.
But then, yeah, you have Nebula and War Machine, and like the way that they're like.
We're clearly side characters who also mean a lot to somebody.
Yeah,
but I like War Machine's Don Cheadle's line where he's like, we're both. I'm not, What do you say? Something like we're both.
because
not what we used to be, or whatever.
Yeah, because she's essentially mostly a robot, and that's the only way he can walk.
Yeah.
His legs are broken.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Because she says I wasn't always like this, and he was kind of like. Neither was I.
Neither was I.
Yeah. Then he gets snapped back into the present time, but then Nebula gets
stolen,
mind zapped by time particles. I guess
why it does Nebula's thing,
because you got the same computer with the same ISP address trying to get on the Wi-Fi at the same time. That's gonna fuck you up.
That's why you don't fucking time travel with a computer. I guess
this is where we learn that Nebula runs on a Wi-Fi network that just spread across the universe. That
was the one thing from this movie that really kind of was just like, I was sitting in the theater and Ebony Maw's like, somebody else is on the same network, and he's like, we're gonna go with the word network right now.
Who else knows our Wi-Fi password?
Yeah, it's like, is that the terminology we're gonna go with right now?
What is the Wi-Fi password?
So we get
capital S NAP 69.
We get Thanos comes back and bored me to tears every time he was on screen. To be honest, I was like, so I watched this twice, and the first time it wasn't such a big deal because I was like, ooh, this is a new movie. But the second time through, I was like, we just need to get through this real quick because I am not interested in watching him sit in this dark room, go on about the past movies.
I didn't
again.
like that. That's what we needed to have happen, is them fight Thanos again. And I was like, we really could have left all of Thanos out of this movie.
Yeah.
And had it been okay.
Or at least make it interesting at all. Like if he had gone on an adventure to get Nebula and do something, but all of his scenes are just them standing in rooms. Talking about what happened in the previous film. I think,
it felt like a very cheatery way too, is them connecting to Nebula and catching all this instead of being like, the stones are moving.
Yeah.
Why are the stones moving? What's happening right now?
Yeah.
Or how do you
or they were already going to Morag. Why couldn't they have gone to Morag and then been like,
all of a sudden he figured out how to travel through space?
Who the fuck is that? Because that looks like Nebula, but that's Nebula.
Something. I mean, yeah. They pulled a Stannis Baratheon and Dragonstone and just had these characters stand in a dark stone room blabbering on about stuff that I don't care about. So yeah, they kidnap Nebula, the good Nebula, slap some new face plates onto the old Nebula, and they're gonna send her back.
Trixie.
Send her back to destroy.
Send her forward.
Send her forward.
Yeah,
with the rest of the Avengers.
And by the way, they nailed it first shot. Never made a baby. They did a good job with time travel. They were able to just time travel really easy, like whole armies.
And never made a baby.
They never turned, like Ant-Man got turned into a baby.
Okay.
They never.
I was thinking like, who was fucking in the middle of all this time traveling?
Who's making a baby?
They made
nobody turned into a baby.
Army go back in time and
they have
that's because people in the universe.
That was the other scene that I think was really hand wavy and easy, is when Tony Stark's like, "Hey, put this particle on the thing and make it happen," and the computer's like, "You have created time travel."
Yeah, but
congratulations, Tony Stark.
He ran a few trials before then.
Holograms and nanotechnology, they can do whatever you want. It just makes for kind of boring movies.
Kind of cheating.
It's like, we can do whatever we want because these holograms did all the hard work for us.
To be fair, he's had 5 years to build a computer to do whatever he wants for him.
Let's see. Oh, Tony Stark goes back in time and meets an old John Slattery. That's a young John Slattery that's somehow 7 years older than he used to be after the before time.
Before the dark times.
He also...
So Jonathan and I were trying to talk about what day
this is a conversation that we were having after we watched the movie.
Because Tony picks this day to be there.
Yeah.
And he's very shocked to see his dad and have his dad talk to him about his wife being pregnant. And so Jonathan's like, he had that face of like, am I older than I thought I am? And
that
I was like,
the face I thought he was making.
And I was like, that's not the face he was
Yeah.
making. That's the face of, I'm born today. This is my birthday. You shouldn't be here today because I was born today. And it was like, clearly either your dad wasn't there for your birth or you were born later than you thought you were.
I was born too late.
Yeah, you were probably born later in the day or your dad wasn't there when you were born. And so, because that's very much what his face is like, you're not supposed to be here because I was born
to be born.
I'm about to be born.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be here.
We
Why
also
the fuck
get
are you here?
what is going to be the last actually in-person, not rigor mortis CGI corpse
it was
cameo from
It was so good.
Stanley.
It's so sad.
The problem is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did the best one he could possibly ever do.
Really did.
Yep.
And then there's a couple more afterwards.
Sitting in the theater at Spider-Verse and watching Stan Lee talk about his favorite character that he ever co-created
Yeah.
being like a friend of his, and it's like,
I mean, it really wasn't fair for the theater that I was in to have all their employees chopping onions in front of me while that scene was happening.
like,
I mean, I'm trying to watch this movie and you're just making me cry.
Can you just saute those somewhere else, please?
I'm serious. What I've seen this around a couple times and I'm just backing it again is that they should not bring back any more cameos. However, in every movie there needs to be a missing poster for Stan Lee.
I've seen that post.
There's just a missing poster somewhere of Stan Lee.
Can we just stop bringing back dead actors?
We can
putting
stop
in the
doing that,
movies.
Yeah, let's stop.
If you want to make a character, just cast somebody else that kind of looks like him, and we'll all be okay with it. We've done it.
We promise. We'll all be okay.
We've done it for the last 100 years. We can do it for the next 100.
We understand. But I
That
think
being said, do not replace somebody for the Stan Lee cameos.
No. If you're going to
Don't
continue on with them,
fucking
you
do
need to do something like the missing sign and have it be like
something where it's
like
a picture
it's
here
a
and
billboard
there.
of like missing.
Or not even
Stan Lee.
like a missing billboard, but like in the Netflix like Daredevil series where he's like the employee of the month at that police precinct.
Like
kind of thing.
put a picture because it's
picture of him
the
somewhere.
reason why I'm thinking of this is because they put. I think it's Stan Lee. There's a picture. There's a missing poster in the back of the police station in Big Hero 6, and it is of somebody, and I think it's of Stan Lee.
Oh, no. it's of from Tangled. It's of
Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider.
Yeah. Anyway,
Stanley's what's his name's dad.
Yeah, that's right.
Fred's dad.
So I just they need to do something like that where he's
something that's
it's just
not
in the background. Like let him still have him
marionetting his dead body.
Let's still put him in the movie. Like still have him be there. Still have it be a cameo of something, but
his
don't.
Picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this cameo of his was
CGI.
for me at the time watching in the movie. I was like, oh, that was it. But then like I read an article about that cameo where it was just like, so this is the last we will see of Stan Lee on screen at any like forever. This is it. This is what we get. And like I feel like I don't know. I might not have just been in the right headspace for it, but like they were talking about how like the last thing we see of Stan Lee is him in a car driving off into the sunset with some mystery lady who
His great granddaughter.
let's just say that's him and his I can't remember her name. His late wife. We'll just say that's them. That's them just going off.
Yeah,
gonna,
I mean it was a good last one, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have a lot to it. He doesn't say anything super funny.
No, he says make love, not war, or something like that.
So it's you know, it's just him driving off into the sunset. And I think it was a really good, peaceful last one.
Yeah. So that was like at the time I was waiting for something of like him to show up and just like say something to a character.
Some Spider-Verse.
Yeah, like something Spider-Verse. But that's the
thing is that they didn't know. This, you know, they didn't know this was going to be his
they were
last
just
one.
Well, they filmed all these like 3 years ago. I think
they were stockpiling.
We're just going to do like 10 in a row real quick,
just in case. You know, they were stockpiling just in case, and they wanted to make sure they had enough to get us to this point. I think honestly,
which kind of as a weird aside of like Stan Lee cameos, the watching, having not seen Captain Marvel yet, but knowing what his cameo is in that movie.
What's his cameo in that movie?
So his cameo in that movie, he's on a bus or a train. I think he's on the train. But the movie takes place in the 90s.
Yes.
And his cameo is him on the train reading the script for Mallrats, which is the movie that he was in that Kevin Smith made in the 90s.
Yes.
And so I watched a little bit of like Kevin Smith's Kevin Smith like made a reaction video about that cameo and was just like, holy shit, guys. Like, thanks. That's a really fucking cool thing to do. Because like the fact that he was able to get Stan Lee to be in his shitty little indie movie then was like a huge deal to him. And then to have a callback to that in an actual MCU movie was just like, hey, thanks, guys.
What a hookup.
At the time, Stanley was like, I'll do anything for a couple of bucks.
Because it was the 90s. And
it's like, my company just went bankrupt. Yes, I'll be in your movie.
By the way, kids, if you didn't know this, the 90s was a bad time for comic book creators.
Yeah,
it was a really rough fucking time, and they were not making any money and selling their art for pennies.
Yeah.
Just please buy a comic book is what they were begging.
Basically.
So they sold off all their fucking rights. And that's how you get X-Men from Fox.
Which that's going to be a whole other video.
Well, that's the only one that would make any money, clearly.
Yeah.
Just ask Fox.
But that's why they sold off all their rights, though, is because they had gone bankrupt and they needed cash flow to be able to sustain themselves.
I read a thing about from like Fox Radio, like Fox TV, like one of their people came out when that, like their big thing is like, well, the rest of them are shit. We only want X-Men. Yep. They're like, how bad they chose.
It's why Sony had Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, right? No, is that Fox?
Fox had Fantastic Four, X-Men, Ghost Rider, Blade.
They picked some shit.
They picked some weird fucking characters.
I mean, X-Men was a solid one to choose.
Yeah.
You would think that it would be easy.
One. But then they just never found anybody who could fucking write them.
Yeah.
Or
did
Sony
Fox put out the X-Men cartoons?
Spider-Man.
Marvel did.
Did they?
It was licensed to Fox for distribution, but Marvel was still in charge of animation and stuff during that period.
Because that shit was good.
So we get to see the original Ant-Man helmet, which was kind of funny.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. We get to see more CGI actors.
I honestly,
this one wasn't bad because the guy was able to match the weird Michael Douglas run that Michael Douglas always like.
Because it was Michael Douglas. They just de-aged him.
No, it was a stunt double.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah. Well, because you're not going to get Michael Douglas running like that through a hallway
for one scene.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, he did the voice for that.
Know.
Yeah.
Oh, so Michael Douglas did the voice though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like the weird run that Michael Douglas runs in a very particular way in every movie he's in, and like they were able to match it. I was like, hey, you're running like Michael Douglas used to run back in those days.
Did they use Ross Marquand again because that guy can do fucking anything?
I don't know. We also had the one scene in this section that really bugged me because it was not a two-way mirror.
Oh my
Captain America standing 3 inches away from Peggy Carter, staring at her, and she's just like facing him.
completely
I'm gonna go with
unaware.
it's still a two-way mirror.
It's
like even
not,
though
though.
it doesn't look like it to us,
We see it
is.
from her side of the room.
It's movie magic. It was a two-way fucking mirror. There's no way Peggy Carter is a fucking spy. Like
That was literally like we were driving home and I was like, she's a goddamn spy.
look up, woman.
She has no spatial awareness. There's a dude standing that close.
That's why, like, there's no way that it wasn't a two-way mirror. I know movie magic, we didn't see it as a two-way mirror, but I swear it's got to be a two-way. Somebody come out and put it on record.
in her office.
Yeah, someone's in my office standing in the window.
He's in her office where she's in the reception area of her office.
Digging through files.
No, but like he walks into her office
And then she
Her
is in
desk-
her office.
but like
Yeah.
her
The
desk is
super
in the
office.
reception area with the pictures of
And the
him
files.
facing away from the chair that's behind the like her office
Yeah.
doesn't make any goddamn
No, it
sense.
doesn't. It's because she doesn't spend time in it. That's her official office where she pretends she's never fucking there, so people
Yeah.
don't bother her.
That's why she
just
didn't
their
want to. She was like, "Don't look at the office. Don't look at your
I
office.
know.
office.
Fuck. I know somebody's in there. Just ignore
look.
them again.
I can feel
God damn
someone
it.
staring at me from 2 inches away. Just don't look up."
Don't look at him. Don't make eye contact. That's because there's her office and then there's her quantum office, which is the one that she was in.
Quantum office.
It also has like there's so many entrances and exits to this thing, and nobody locks their goddamn doors.
Yeah, because they come in through
Nobody.
another entrance.
It's the 70s, dude.
Yeah.
Because they come in from another entrance from another fucking hallway. So like, really, like, what fucking hallway did? Like, this
we do
why?
This
get-
place has hallways everywhere.
We do get
Always
a little
everywhere.
cameo from Yvette Nicole Brown from Community, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hey,
Hey, she gets to play a paranoid
a
black lady.
narc.
Yeah. Fucking narc.
Then we get a nice Tony Stark gets to say goodbye to his dad for real.
All of that. So again, going into the like talking about all the shit that I had spoiled for me. What like I knew Tony died at the end of this movie.
Spoilers, dude.
Fuck. Sorry. I mean,
Yeah,
we've
that's
already
what- we already spoiled that.
And so in the beginning, towards the beginning of the movie, when Morgan says "I love you 3000," I let out an audible. Ugh.
It was quiet. He was very nice about it, actually. But he goes, ugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And he's like, nothing.
Nothing. That definitely won't come up later.
He definitely didn't do it in like a suspicious way. He's like, oh, nothing. It's fine. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, went back to watching the movie. Like, give me some, what were we eating? What was our
We had
licorice. I was like,
Australian licorice.
Give me a couple licorice.
I-
Shut up.
I will attest. Speaking of theater snacks, do not get the bite-sized Butterfingers
No.
from the movie theater. I had a bad experience where I had a box of Butterfinger bites, and I was eating them, and then it just like. I happened to look like I can't remember what it was. Like my hand was sticky. I was like, that's weird. So I looked at it and there's like some chocolate on there. I was like, oh, that's fine, whatever. So I finished watching the movie, finished my Butterfinger bites. I walk out of the bathroom, not a care in the world, go into the bathroom, use the urinal, turn around to look at the mirror. Brown stains all down the front of my light khaki shorts. Like it literally looked like I had shit myself and just wiped it down the front of my pants.
I just shit the front of my pants.
So don't eat
your
Butterfinger bites. Like somehow like chocolate had just like come out of the box and gotten on my hand and I
It
had
was
just been
quantum
rubbing.
chocolate.
So don't get Butterfinger. That's my Butterfinger bite story. Hello, everybody. I just want to apologize for the sound quality of this episode. It is not up to the usual standards that we are aiming for, but we did have a little bit of difficulty there. But so as per usual with the old Moist Boys podcast, we did end up going really long on this one. But not to worry, we will be back for the second half of our conversation, and that's right. This 90-minute episode is only the first half. We go in depth with the second half of the film, Avengers Endgame. There's a lot more fun to be had. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at MoistBoysPod. You can listen to this episode and other ones on Apple Music, Google Play, Stitcher podcast app, wherever else you pick up your podcast, we'll probably be on there somewhere. We're also on YouTube. You can watch some of our great videos there, which is just our podcast with our logo image on there. But it's always fun to have. So if you want to listen to this and more, you can follow us there. Also, if you want to support us, we have a patreon.com/moistboyspodcast where you can throw some money there, some real levels and some joke ones. So thank you for listening, and we will catch you guys later.